Alright you guys, what's going on, and welcome back to the channel. Today, tonight, tomorrow, wherever you are in the world out there, we're working on the Blob some more. We're making solid progress. There's been a lot of videos on this car covering a lot of the issues. We're fixing a lot of them. At this point now, we are ready to reassemble. So yesterday, Matt and I, as you guys saw, we got the header rebuilt, we got the motor mounts in, the oil pan on, all the annoying stuff is now out of the way. At this point, we're ready to start reassembling. So first up, we need to get the new oil feed line on the car. I have the IAG one that we're gonna be pulling oil from the AVCS and the back of the block to feed the turbo. So it's pretty self-explanatory, straightforward. I'm gonna walk through their install instructions just because there's 3 different styles for oil feed to the turbo. You have style A, which uses what we have right here. This is style A. So style A pulls oil from the AVCS and the back of the cylinder head. Style B pulls from 2 different ports, one on top of the cylinder head and the AVCS. And then style 3, which we had on the 17 STI, pulls oil from its own independent port on the back of the cylinder head on the passenger side, as well as the AVCS. So the AVCS is its own line, and then the turbo has its own oil feed. So I'm gonna get this guy installed. I'm gonna use their install guide as a walkthrough because I haven't installed this before, and I wanna make sure that the oil feed is right to the turbo because that's a very important aspect of what we're doing. So once I get this installed, I'll walk you guys through like the routing for everything and how everything bolts up, but it seems pretty self-explanatory. I guess I should start this off by showing you guys. So I mean, this is what you get with the kit. You get 2 oil feed lines. They're pretty much going to tap into that little T-fitting right there. You have all the fittings there. Like I said, once I get this installed on the car, I'll walk you guys through and show you how like all of this goes on. We also have our new power steering pump that we're going to be throwing on today. We're going to get the up pipe permanently in the car. I have the new studs for the turbo so we can get the turbo back in the car, the down pipe back on. We're going to be making a lot of reinstall progress on this thing today. I'm waiting on the timing belt to still come in. Hopefully that gets delivered today so that way we can get the timing corrected on the car. But one thing at a time, let's get the oil feed line on. So our new oil feed line for the turbo is in, so it does pull off the AVCS here. As you can see, it wraps down behind all of these vacuum hoses here, goes into the T-fitting on the back of the head right there where it goes to that oil port or that oil galley, and then this is the feed line for the turbo itself. I did want to get the up pipe in the car just to be able to test fitment with it, just to make sure everything was solid, and clearance is a little tight with the bracket right there that holds the up pipe on, but doesn't seem too concerning. So now that we have this beautiful new oil feed line in for the turbo and the up pipe in the car, let's go ahead and throw the turbo back on. I just replaced all the studs on the turbo over here, so these are all brand new OEM Subaru studs on here, so that way they won't strip out, they won't cause us any issues. I did put a little bit of anti-seize on them just to make sure we don't have any issues down the road if we ever have to like try to pull one of these out. So super easy to put the turbo in. We have the oil drain port right here for the turbo. Bolts up to the up pipe right there, down pipe goes on right there. Pretty simple and straightforward. All we're doing is getting this drain port on and getting it bolted to the up pipe. So the turbo's now back in the car. The oil feed lines are ran. I'm not a huge fan of like all this extra line up here. I think maybe later on I'll snag a smaller oil feed line, one that's just a little bit shorter, just to get rid of all this excess. I tried routing it a couple different ways, and the one way I found to get rid of all the excess was to just route it underneath of the turbo and have it go up to the oil feed, but then it was like right on top of the hot side of the turbo. It was right underneath of the hot side of the turbo, and I just didn't want to be cooking the oil line going to the turbo. So this is kind of what we came up with here, and it works. It just doesn't look the prettiest. I might angle that line a little bit more, but that's kind of the angle that they said to pull it off the AVCS. Good kit. Just wish that this oil line was like 6 inches shorter. But you know, it is what it is. It works. Next up, I'm gonna get the downpipe thrown back on the car just so we can get that out of the way. One less thing to worry about, one less part hanging around the garage. So let me crawl under there and scoot this thing on. I absolutely hate crawling around underneath the car. That was a loud Evo and a GTR. What is happening? So let me crawl under there, get the downpipe back on, and we'll have one less thing to worry about. Look at us making all types of progress today. We got the downpipe in. I did find another source of the exhaust leak that we were running into, which is this like it's a 3-inch downpipe to catback gasket. So there's another gasket I need to go buy, but the downpipe's in. It's bolted up to the turbo. It's bolted up to the transmission brace mount that keeps it like in place. The turbo to downpipe gasket's brand new. Up pipe to turbo gasket brand new. everything's brand new. All hardware on the turbo, brand new, because that hardware, like when it strips out, it's awful, absolutely awful to replace, because sometimes, like when I did it, I had to cut them off. Not fun. So now that we have that in the car, it's off the table, giving us a little more room to work, I'm gonna get the new power steering pump in. So what we're gonna do is just pull the bracket off the old one, put it on the new one, install it on the car, get the lines put back up to it. Pretty self-explanatory. Oh my god, dude, we're so crooked. Pretty self-explanatory, pretty straightforward. It's just a power steering pump. We're just bolting it onto the car. It's like 4 bolts. Let's do it. Look at that, brand new power steering pump is on. So super easy to install. I used brand new crush washers, brand new hardware for this. I reused the bracket. That's the only thing that's reused off this power steering setup. I did super clean it like you guys just saw, because that bracket was black, covered in power steering fluid and grease, and it looks so shiny and new now. I love it. So we've got the power steering line hooked back up. We're gonna have to bleed this once we get the car running. Super easy process. Since it's already up in the air, all we're gonna do is start the car, turn the wheel slowly left to right, left to right. Once we get it back on the ground, we'll do the same thing. That'll push the air out of the system. It'll prime the pump. We should be solid on that. I'm not sure if I need to prime this. If I need to put some power steering fluid in it just to prime the pump, I will. I can still take off that while we have everything disassembled like this. But look at us. So we got turbo in, oil feed light on the turbo done, downpipe on. I need to get the turbo blanket on there. We'll do that in a moment. I want to get the exhaust manifold back on just to get that out of the way. One less thing hanging around the garage floor also, because there's parts absolutely everywhere. So I have brand new hardware for this. I'm reusing the OEM studs because the studs in here are just fine. I didn't need to replace those. So let me crawl under here again and get this exhaust manifold on. Just one less thing that we got to do. We have brand new gaskets for the exhaust manifold to the block and from the exhaust manifold to the up pipe. So it got dark out so quick. I'm so tired of wintertime already. Update on this though, the exhaust manifold is on. It is bolted up to the up pipe, going up to the turbo. We were having an issue getting that O2 sensor in there, but our exhaust manifold is good to go now. It's bolted back on, all tightened down, new gaskets, good to go. The last thing I'm gonna do for today, because this is gonna be a 2-day video, this might be a little bit longer of a video, we're gonna be doing this Grimspeed Y-pipe kit on the STI's intercooler. There's nothing wrong with the Y-pipe, but I couldn't get any new elbows or throttle body couplers because no one really had them in stock for a while, but Brian did have that in stock, so we're gonna put that on the car. So coupler's gonna come off, coupler's gonna come off, the Y-pipe's gonna come off. We're just gonna put on the new stuff, set this aside, and then that's where we're gonna stop for today. Tomorrow, we're gonna get the intake manifold back on. Like I said, this will probably be a little bit longer of a video, but for the bulk majority, I wanna get a lot of this stuff just put back on the car at this point. It's starting to look like a car again since we have the turbo on there, the exhaust, all sorts of other goodies. So we're getting there, but let's get this intercooler rebuilt and good to go. So just to give you guys like a good idea of what this is, so this is the Grimspeed Y-pipe kit. I typically I've bought this once in the past. The only reason I got this is A, because the old one was just grimy, gross, and mainly the reason why is just because I needed new couplers for both of these. I did not want blue. I don't like blue. I don't like red. I just want black couplers. I like to keep it simple. So I ended up getting the whole Y-pipe kit. It's not a bad thing to have. The Y-pipe essentially is just bigger, like charge piping, lets a little bit more airflow. I would say power gains would be negligible on this. I wouldn't even like get this for power gains, but it does look good. I will give it that. So now that's done, that's pretty much where I'm gonna stop for tonight. But like I said, this is gonna be a 2-day video. So your boy is freezing. It is like, I don't know if you can really see my breath. It's about 28 degrees outside. I've been out here for, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours at this point, and I'm so cold. I'm going inside for the night. I have a video to edit from yesterday that needs to go live tomorrow, and I have a live stream about to do. So I'll see you guys in a minute in the live stream. But like I said, tomorrow we're gonna pick back up on this 2-day video. We're gonna get the intake manifold back on. We're gonna get a lot of this other stuff back on. I think the timing belt stuff gets dropped off tonight, hoping so. And the air oil separator. I'm hoping both of those get dropped off tonight via UPS, but we'll find out. So I'll see you guys in the morning. I mean, I'm not even gonna say bye. I'll see you in like a second. I wanna say good morning, but it's day 2 of the same video. So we're gonna keep going on the STI. I just woke up, got everything like straightened out, got that upload taken out of the way, the one that you guys saw today, which was the disrespected STI video. So, a couple things I've already done off camera. I've already stabbed my hand and bled everywhere, so that was lovely. That's a great way to start the morning. We got the turbo blanket on. The fitment's like, okay. I wouldn't suggest the Cobb turbo blanket to anyone. I'd probably say grab like a PTP or a steam speed, but it's on there. We had to like reroute it a weird way just to make it fit with our oil turbo feed line. And then I also got our new turbo inlet fed into the intake manifold right here. So I pulled the Tomei off, got the Perrin one on here. It's pretty much all I've done right now. So we're gonna get the intake manifold on the car. I did get the Radium air oil separator. I was gonna get the IAG one. I ordered the IAG one, but I canceled the order because it's a 5-week lead time for an IAG air oil separator. So the Radium ones were in stock. We snagged a Radium one. I also looked at Cobb. Cobb was on back order for 4 weeks, so it is what it is. So plain and simple, let's get this intake manifold in the car. I'll show you guys this turbo inlet fitment real quick, or not turbo inlet, the turbo blanket fitment real quick because it's a little odd. So right back there is our turbo blanket. So I looked on Cobb's website to see how this is supposed to go on here, and I guess the logo is supposed to be cocked off to the side like that. It's just this weird cutout right here. Seems like it's in the wrong spot because it just doesn't hug the turbo in a way that it's supposed to. I was also only able to get one of the springs on there, but it's tight. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to fall off. We got our oil turbo feed line routed a different way also, just so it looks a little bit cleaner. So now it comes up, wraps around behind the turbo, then wraps up and around and feeds the turbo right up there. So now that we have that on there, we have the new turbo inlet plumbed into the intake manifold. We're gonna get the intake manifold put back on this car. We're gonna take the tape off of the heads. I have new gaskets for those. We'll put those on. We'll get the intake manifold back on the car, and then we'll keep going from there. I'd like to get the air oil separator in today, so we'll see how far we actually get. Still waiting on timing to show up because UPS missed the delivery, so we can't actually start the car or do anything like that until we get the new timing belt set up on here. So for now, we're gonna keep chooching along for everything we can do, so let's get this intake manifold on. Look at that glory. We have an intake manifold back on the car. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna wait to do the evap system down here. I've got the evap line plugged back in over there. I'm not gonna delete it quite yet. When we go to actually modify the car and make power with it, we'll delete evap. For now, it's just fine having it in here. So now that we have our intake manifold back in, upper coolant reservoir, we have all this. I left the throttle body off intentionally right now. We're gonna do the Radium air oil separator up next. I'm not quite sure how to install this Radium one. I've never installed a Radium air oil separator before. It looks pretty similar to ones that I've installed in the past, but I just wanna run through this. I'm gonna time lapse it. I'll give you guys a rundown after I get it on there, just because I don't wanna be making a video on something that I've never installed before. I don't wanna be like misinformationing you guys and whatnot. So I'm gonna run through the instructions on how to install this Radium one. Once it's in the car, then I'll give you guys like a good rundown on how it actually goes in. But it's gonna mount up like all other air oil separators right back there. It'll run all over the car. We'll get all the lines put in here. Like I said, once everything's installed, I'll give you guys a rundown. But with this intake manifold, turbo inlet, always a pain to do. This power steering line right here, you have to like really push on the turbo inlet to get the power steering line back in. Aside from that, everything else went incredibly smooth. Intake manifold slid right in once we got everything lined up. We've got all of our wires and stuff like conjumbled over there. I'll probably zip tie those up to make them look a little bit better. Our power steering lines are bolted back down so that way they're not going to be moving. I'm still going to try to do something with this oil line over here. I don't quite know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'd like it to look a little bit better. But for the most part, we almost have a fully reassembled STI. Unfortunately, we're still not close to starting it up. Like I said, I'm still waiting on the timing belt stuff. The water pump, we're going to be swapping all of that out since I already have access to it right now. So unfortunately, we're not quite there yet, but let's keep going on this. Let me get that Radium AOS assembled back there. We'll bring it up here and we'll get it installed in the car. So I'm not quite sure how long ago the last update was. I'm pretty sure it was when I was building that Radium AOS. First of all, I don't suggest that air oil separator to anyone. That thing is awful to install. I would highly suggest just getting the IAG or the Cobb one. They're solid units. I ordered a secondary one. I'm gonna swap out that Radium one with a IAG V3 one. They're on back order, so this one will work now for the next couple of weeks. But like the things I was running into was the install instructions. Radium has really good products, but their instructions for install are just like hit or miss sometimes. The hoses that they provide are very rigid hoses and they don't want to bend very much. And it's just not a fun install. I'm not a huge fan of how they have the coolant passages going because they have it running off of the throttle body coolant instead of the upper coolant reservoir. Not quite sure why they did that versus running it through just where everyone else runs it through. But like I said, I'm going to swap it out with an IAG one here the next couple weeks. Now, because this AOS install like led me completely off topic, I got the top mount intercooler back on. That was like a 2-hour battle. You guys know, to this day, I still hate top mount intercoolers with a burning desire deep down in my soul. They can all burn. I hate them. So it's on. It was a struggle to get on. They're always a struggle to get on for me. It might just be me. Maybe I'm just awful at putting top mount intercoolers on. I have no idea. I hate them. But I'll show you guys kind of the progress of where we are right now. What was it? Like end of day 2 right now. So it's a little difficult to see because it got dark out very quickly, but we have our intake manifold back in, top mount intercooler back on, bypass valve back in, boost gauge wired back up. I've got the car filling up with oil right now. We're using the Motul XS Gen 2 8100. It's a good oil. It's what I use. So the last couple things that we need to do with this thing is we need to get timing done. I know it's a little dark. I do apologize, but timing still needs to get done. I'm waiting on UPS to drop off the timing stuff. They were supposed to do it yesterday. Like I said, they did miss delivery. The fuel lines, I need to go to AutoZone tomorrow, grab some fuel lines. Let me grab this flashlight too. So up there is our air oil separator. It's the Radium one. It's a good looking unit, I'll give them that. It's just, I'm not a huge fan of the way that all the hoses have to route and everything like that. They give you a 3/4 inch hose to route as the drain going back into the system. It sucks. Straight up sucks, you guys. But we're almost back to a working motor again. It actually looks like an engine now. It's progress. Last couple things we have to do. Timing, PCV valve needs to go back in. Radiator after timing, bleed the coolant system, bleed the power steering system, and we're pretty much good to go at that point. And then like I told you guys, I do have coilovers on order. So once Brian gets the new coilovers in, we're gonna swap out these Racelands that came on the car for a set of BC Racing ones just because they fit the budget right now. But I am done for the evening. I am done for tonight. I'm gonna go inside, kick back, respond to some of your guys' comments and just kind of hang out. This can wait until tomorrow. There's not a whole lot else we can do right now. We still have to do the window regulator and the driver's door, but I'm not too concerned with that. But that's what I got for you guys on this one. So if you like the video, you know what to do. Go ahead, hit that like button and turn it blue like the seats in the Subaru, or gray if it turns gray for you. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit your boy up one of these corners. No idea which one I'll put it in quite yet. But with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies.